Hi, dear viewers. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel, Let's Master. It's so good to see you all again. I have a breaking news for you guys. Ideally, in this video, Introduction to Accounting 2, we should be discussing the process of accounting. But I'm sorry to inform you that we are not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to introduce you to some amazing and interesting guys who are going to be our travel mates in our this journey of learning. And I'm expecting more to join us as we will progress in our this journey. So first one who is going to join us in this journey is Ron. Ron is a young, dynamic and rising businessman owning a departmental store. Next is Sam, another young guy who is Ron's classmate since school time and his best friend as well. And lastly, who is going to join us today is Jack, who is a regular customer of Ron. As said earlier, we are not going to discuss the process of accounting today, but I'm going to tell you a story about Ron and his friends. But I would request you to stay with us for a couple of minutes and enjoy the story. And I'm sure you will not regret spending those few minutes with us. So let's start. As I said, Ron owns a huge departmental store and he has busy business hours from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. His departmental store was doing good business and every day he has hundreds and hundreds of transactions. But sadly, Ron has a big time problem in maintaining the state of affairs for his departmental store. He was not able to manage its finance. He was clueless about what he need to pay or what he need to collect or what was his expense or what are his incomes. And finally, mother of all questions, is the business in profit? All these questions were giving sleepless nights and restless days to Ron. One day, Ron met Sam and told him the challenges he is facing. Sam said, "It's not a big deal. Let me tell you about the process of accounting, and I can assure you that this will help you a great deal in addressing the challenges you are facing currently." So, are you liking the story of Ron and want to know more? What happened? So, please hit the like button and continue to enjoy the story. Ron told that what accounting is. Sam said, "No problem. I will explain you what accounting is and what the accounting process is all about." For our viewers, those who have missed the first video of this series, they can go to the description and find link to our first video of this series in which we have discussed what accounting is in detail. For the time being, let's move on. Accounting can be defined as a systematic process of identifying, measuring, recording, classifying, summarizing, and communicating the outcomes of various transactions and events which are at least in part of financial nature taking place during the life cycle of a business in monetary terms. Before we discuss the steps of accounting process in detail, let's pause to understand some of the terms that we have used in this definition, as well as that we will continue to use throughout this learning voyage. Systematic process, a process that is well thought through, laid out clearly and in detail, and is bound to produce the predefined outcome every time the process is applied or followed, is a systematic process. Outcomes. Outcome is synonym for results, as every transaction or event taking place in the business entity during its life cycle will have one or the other result, and the process of accounting is followed to record and communicate the outcomes to the stakeholders. Transactions. A transaction is an agreement between two parties, generally a buyer and a seller, to exchange goods and services or financial instruments. Events. Any happening that results in a change in the financial position of the business entity and can be expressed in monetary terms is an event and has to be recorded. Examples of events are payment of dividends to stockholders or charging of depreciation on assets. Financial in nature. Anything related to or involving money is financial in nature. Monetary terms. The money measurement concept, or also known as monetary measurement concept, underlines the fact that in accounting and economics generally, every recorded event or transaction is measured or expressed in terms of money. The local currency is the monetary unit of measurement. For example, a sales transaction for rice will be recorded as sold rice worth rupees 10,000 and not as sold 100 kgs of rice. So, in accounting, any transaction or event which is recorded is always expressed in terms of money or in monetary terms. So, continuing with our story, Sam told Ron that if you type accounting process in the search bar of your favorite search engine, you will come across numerous pictures and diagrams illustrating the process of accounting. These illustrations will be in all shapes and sizes. Some of them will have 3 or 4 steps completing the entire process of accounting. And on the other hand, you may find some illustrations having 6 to 8 steps in the process of accounting. Now, the question is, how many steps are there in the process of accounting? To get an answer to this question, let's have a look at the definition. And from the definition, you can see the words written in red are the 5 major or key steps which constitutes the process of accounting. And these are identifying and measuring, recording, classifying, summarizing, and communicating. While Sam was explaining this to Ron, some questions were flashing through Ron's mind. And the questions were, what activity or event should I look at? What to record? And when Ron shared this question with Sam, Sam replied, you know, every day in your departmental store, several activities are carried out, resulting in various transactions and events. All the transactions and events taking place are not financial. For example, if I visit you at your departmental store and we chit chat or gossip for 2 hours, and Jack also visits you and purchases goods from you worth rupees 25,000, Now, I have a question for you. Out of these two activities happening at your shop, which one will you record in the books of accounts? Ron, sorry, I find it difficult to decide what to record and what not to record. Please help me. Sam, no problem, dear. We will record the transaction or event, which is purchase of goods by Jack, as this is an economic activity impacting the business of Jack as well as yours, impacting both of you financially, and this can be expressed in terms of money. So, to decide whether any transaction or event will be recorded or not, you need to get an answer to the following questions. And the questions are: is the transaction or event an economic activity? Means, does it involve money or worth of money? Will the transaction impact the financial positions of the business involved in the transaction or event? And lastly, can the transaction be expressed in monetary terms? And if you get answer to all the three questions as yes, then you have identified the transaction that needs to be recorded, which is our first step of accounting process. In this step itself, we not only identify the transaction that needs to be recorded, but we also quantify the transaction in monetary terms. Ron, wow, that's so easy. Thanks for the tips about identifying the transactions that needs to be recorded. Shall we move on? Sam, sure. Now, I have a question. Tell me, what was the invoice number and details of the sales that you made to Jack on 23rd of January 2020? Ron, come on, are you kidding me? How do you expect me to remember the details of an invoice which I issued almost a year back? And the question what Sam asked to Ron again brought some questions to his mind. Why to record a transaction in event? What is recording? And Sam replied, you are right. I don't expect you to remember the details of all the transactions that took place. But if you can't remember the details of all the transactions, then how will you be able to share the details of invoices you have issued to Jack if he asks? Ron, yeah, that's a problem. How to solve this? Sam, simply record the transactions that you have identified in the step number 1 of accounting process. Ron, you have to write down or save the details of all the transactions electronically. And this writing down or saving details of transactions electronically is termed as recording, which is the second step of our process of accounting. Ron, Sam, I have a question for you. By recording, I will have details of all the transactions that I did with any of my customer or seller or anyone else. But how can I tell or find what I need to pay or collect or how much I have paid for a particular expense? Sam, not to worry, my friend. Go to third step of accounting process, that is classifying. In this step, we put all the transactions related to a customer or a seller or an expense or income in one place, which helps us in having a complete picture and ascertain how much we need to pay or collect, or how much we have paid or how much we have earned, etc. If I use the technical term, it's known as posting into ledger. For journal understanding, you can say ledger is a book having a separate page for each of your buyer, seller, expense, income, etc. So, in this step, we record all the transactions related to one head of account on one page assigned to it in the ledger book. This step helps the user to categorize or classify various transactions as expenses, income, assets, liabilities, etc. Ron, wow, that's interesting. I never thought that accounting is so systematic process. Please tell me more about it. So, this is the third step of accounting process, that is classifying. Before we move on to the next step, I hope our viewers are also excited as Ron is. So why don't you subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and please press the bell icon so you get notified as soon as we upload a new video. And also, please tell about Ron and Sam to your friends by sharing this video. Let's move on. Now, Ron has some more questions for Sam, like, am I earning profit? Or what is the value of my stock? And he passed on these questions to Sam. Sam replied, the next two steps are focused on getting the output of the accounting process and sharing it with the stakeholders respectively. The fourth step of accounting process is summarizing, which involves balancing of various accounts maintained in ledger, preparation of trial balance, and financial statements. We all know that the ultimate objective of every business is to earn profit, and preparation of financial statements let the owner of the business know that whether the business is earning profit or is suffering losses, and if the business is earning profit, how much, and God forbid, if there are losses, what is the magnitude of loss. So this is the fourth step of process of accounting, that is summarizing. Finally, Ron asked how to tell my bankers about my assets, or how can I explain to the tax authorities that I paid correct tax amount? Sam replied, once you have all the information available with you, that is the outcome of business activities carried out during the accounting or reporting period, the final step of the process is to communicate the results of business activities to various stakeholders in a manner so that it can be understood even by a layman. Ron, wow, that's awesome. Thanks for your help. And with this, we come to the end of our accounting process. But I'm sure by following these 5 steps of accounting, I will get rid of the challenges that I'm facing currently. Sam, I hope I was of some help. And I will take your leave now and see you soon. Ron, sure. But I have one last question for you. If I have any doubts or questions about what you have told me so far, how to go about that? Sam, you have two options, my friend. One, you can jot down your queries and we can discuss them when we meet next. For our viewers, the first option is to wait for our upcoming videos in which we will discuss the new terms and will also take up the queries if any shared in the comment section. The second option that Sam gave to Ron was to drop him an email, and he will respond back to the email. For our viewers, yes, you can write us at connect@letsmaster@gmail.com, and we will be more than happy to respond back to your queries via email. The other options you have is to go to the description and fill in the subscription form, get registered with us, and have access to many more resources available. With this, I sign off for today. Until we meet next, thanks a lot and stay safe.